What's up, guys? So, obviously, I spend a lot of time on YouTube, and sometimes it's like you watch one video and suddenly you're down this rabbit hole and you're watching a bunch of related videos. And recently, I stumbled upon this clip on YouTube I tried to find it so that I could reference it back in this video, but I just have to go off of memory. It was a clip of the View, that show The View with Barbara Walters and all those women, Joy Behar, and they were talking about this idea of, is gay the new black? And they were alluding to an article by The Advocate, which I'll put in the description box of this video if you're interested. But that's a very controversial concept, right? Is gay the new black? And I thought it was a perfect thing to talk about, especially for this channel, because I think people constantly compare being gay to being black. For example, when that whole court case happened with the gay couple that wanted a wedding cake, and the bakery was like, we don't cater to gay weddings, and then people were outraged and they said they don't have to serve you just because you're gay. A lot of people's rebuttal, including mine, was, well, what if a black couple came in and said they wanted a wedding cake, or an interracial couple, and they were denied? Do you still think that that's legally permissible? So I think inevitably people always compare gay people to black people. And I think that stems from the fact that those have been the last two groups, at least in the United States, that are so openly ostracized, although I think now that has changed. I think since 9/11 that has changed with Muslim Americans. I also think obviously with Trump's presidency, we're seeing more xenophobia when it comes to immigrants, whether they're American citizens or not. But that's a whole other conversation. Just to focus on this concept of, is gay the new black? Even in comment sections on YouTube, I always see people get in these heated online arguments about don't you dare compare what black people have gone through to what gay people have gone through. And so I think it's an interesting question to pose, and I'm kind of cringing at what the comments of this video will be, because I'm sure some people will be offended. I feel like my subscribers who watch know that I feel like I'm pretty diplomatic, I would like to think, and I try to intellectualize everything that I talk about, but I'm sure some people will come in, and as soon as they see the title, they'll be like, F you for blah, 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 blah. First off, two completely different histories, two different cultures, if we can call it that. Black Americans have a very specific, I don't know what the right word is, esoteric experience in this country coming from slavery. Slavery, you can't erase that. That's such a emotionally raw part of American history. Gay people have not been enslaved as gay people. That being said, I feel like people pretend that gays just appeared out of nowhere 10 years ago. From the dawn of civilization, there have always been gay people. And you can be gay and be black. You can be gay and be, an immigrant or Latino in this country, or Muslim. Gay people have not, as a group, had the same history as black people, but they are intertwined in the histories of all people, because there are gay people of every color, of every race, of every nationality, and so on. Something that also always bothers me is that when people talk about the Holocaust, it's always made into this event where the Jews were slaughtered, and they obviously were. But people don't talk about the other 6 million. There were 6 million Jews, those are estimates, but there are 6 million Jews who were essentially exterminated in the Holocaust. There were also 6 million other people comprised of a bunch of different types of groups of people that Hitler and the Nazis didn't like, which was gay people, the handicapped and disabled, a lot of Polish people, a lot of Eastern Europeans, gypsies. So again, to pretend that gay people have not had a tense history themselves and the way that they have been treated and perceived is just ignorant. I mean, there's countries to this day where being gay is punishable by law. In some cases, it's getting whipped in public. In some cases, it's going to jail. And in worse cases, it's the death penalty. So, of course, it's two completely different groups of people and two different histories. But I think it's insulting to imply that gay people have not had their own historical battles. I think a lot of people are very ignorant about this subject, and they think that being gay and gay rights revolves around just gay marriage, and the hardest thing that gay people go through is getting bullied as a kid. And that completely diminishes the history of the gay rights movement. And when we talk about gay rights, it's frivolous to talk about things like marriage, because marriage isn't a human right. But the gay rights movement, a lot of people don't know, started at the same time as the civil rights movement. It's just that one took off way more quickly than the other. I think that HIV and AIDS is the main reason, and I guess religion too. Those two things put so much fear and anxiety inside people's minds that it kept the gay rights movement from really excelling. But originally, gay rights was about civil rights for gay people. It was about being treated equally under the law when it comes to things like employment and hate crimes. I'm always personally offended as a gay person when people are don't compare the two, it's insulting. Because at the end of the day, minorities, to accomplish their goals of seeking acceptance from mainstream society, of getting equality on a legal level, they need other groups to succeed. No minority has ever succeeded doing anything without support from a larger group or another group. All minorities really should be sticking together to accomplish their goals. There is strength in numbers. And that has always frustrated me. And I think by the way, it's on both sides. I think there's hypocrisy on both sides. I have met Black people who are extremely homophobic, and I think online we see that a lot. But I've met some gay people who are so racist. And it's so shocking to me from both sides. I'm like, how can you have this third eye walking around in society as a member of a minority group, and yet you're completely oblivious to what somebody else deals with every day who is of a different minority group? I don't understand that. I mean, I've met gay guys who are like, yeah, I'll mess around with a Black guy, but I would never bring that home to my parents. And I'm like, A, I'm shocked that you would feel that way, and B, I'm shocked that you would not even have the self-awareness to at least keep that inside if you really feel that way. How do you not have any shame? Speaking of shame, ironically, shame is such a big thing among gay people. How do you not have the shame to be self-aware and not say stuff like that? But like I said, there are also Black people in this country, and typically it comes from a place of religion, who are extremely homophobic. There is so much more that bonds us as members of minority groups with each other than there is, stuff that keeps us separate. And I'm disappointed that people still are so quick to be like, we are separate, don't compare me to you, blah, blah, blah. And yet those are the same people, again, from all groups, who want to be seen as part of the whole. Also, one thing that is kind of forgotten in this conversation is that, and this goes back to what I was saying much earlier in this video, you can be gay and Black. And I think people who are both, and I've noticed I have a lot of subscribers who are both gay and Black on both of my YouTube channels, actually. I feel like they are just kind of excluded from this conversation when people come from this perspective of don't compare the two. They're two separate experiences. We don't want to be associated with each other, and so on. I'm sure this one's going to get a lot of comments. As always, want to hear what you guys have to say in the comments.